Yes guys, how's it going? Welcome back to Your Football Predictions, the series where we try and predict all of the upcoming weekend's Premier League football. Those were my predictions up there for game week 9. I did okay. I got one correct score, I got a couple of correct outcomes, but as always, you guys did better than me. Thank you to everyone who got involved in the YouTube comments. I'll put a load of them on screen now. So be sure to get your predictions down in the YouTube comments for this weekend's games. Thank you as well to everyone who got involved in our online league. I moved up a few places, but still was not good enough to win this round. So well done to you, mate. Thank you to everyone who got involved in that. And as always, we will go through all of the games for this weekend's football. But first, we have a video sponsor. Skillshare is an online learning community with thousands of classes for anyone who loves learning and wants to explore their creativity and learn new skills. With so many classes, you can look to learn a variety of skills. As I continue my journey to try and improve my YouTube videos, my editing skills, I also wanted to try and improve on my Photoshop skills to improve the images within my videos and also the thumbnails on my videos that you guys click on. So I took a class written by Kat Coquelette called Learn Adobe Photoshop Fundamentals for Getting Started. Photoshop is a program that I have used before, but I've never really sat down and spent the time to learn exactly what it could offer, and Kat's course did exactly that. It was easy to follow, it was all subsectioned, so I was able to jump back and look at some of the parts that maybe I didn't get first time around, but it was really helpful, really interesting. I do feel like I have improved, and I'm hoping to now move on to maybe a more advanced lesson in Adobe Photoshop. Skillshare has thousands of classes available, so I know that when I'm ready to take my next step in editing or Photoshop creation, that there will be another class available to me. And a big positive I find with Skillshare is because it's all chaptered, I'm able to watch some, come back to it very easily without losing my space, and I'll quite often put it on in the background as well when I'm running around doing something else, and it lets me learn on the go. Skillshare have given me a link that I will put down at the top of the description, and it will give 1,000 of you guys a 1-month free trial to Skillshare. So be sure to go down, give it a click, take a look. It'll really help the channel, and hopefully you guys might learn something new on Skillshare as well. Now then, let's get started at 12:30 on Saturday. We have got Bournemouth taking on Leicester. So Bournemouth are doing alright, aren't the promoted side, have not lost a game since O'Neill took over in charge. Obviously they've had a bit of a crazy season to start with Parker going, O'Neill coming in. He wants the permanent job, and a 0-0 draw against Brentford at the weekend could have potentially had a penalty in that game. They had a shot saved off the line as well. So a decent goal from Brentford, taking on a Leicester side who did not have the start of the season that they wanted. And I'm going to be honest, I am pre-recording this on the Monday, so I've not actually seen Leicester play Nottingham Forest yet. You guys know what happened. If Leicester have won that game, maybe that's the kickstart they needed for the rest of the season. If they've lost that game, by the time you're watching this, I would not be surprised if Brendan Rodgers is already gone. The thing is, they've got the players in there. They have not had the start that they wanted, but they've still got Maddison. I know Jamie Vardy's getting a bit older, but he's still a great player. I know Tielemans was linked with leaving, but he's still a good player. And I just think that if Leicester can just get that kickstart they need, and who knows, maybe they had it on Monday, they can get on. I have gone 1-1 in this game. You guys know more about this one than I do at this point, so let me know your thoughts on that one down below. On to the 3 o'clock kickoffs now. We have got Chelsea taking on Wolves, so a lot of eyes on Graham Potter at the weekend, and it wasn't the start to the game. He wanted going 1-0 down very quickly against Crystal Palace, but they had just about enough to win the game 2-1. And Aubameyang gets his first goal for Chelsea, and then it had to be Gallagher who comes on the pitch. The man who did so well at Crystal Palace on loan comes on, scores a 90th minute winner. Chelsea were lucky in that game. Thiago goes down, and for me, clearly, purposely handles the ball, gets a yellow card. Could Crystal Palace have been through on goal had he not done that? So I think they got a little bit lucky with that one. They're taking on a Wolves side who lost at the weekend against West Ham and have now lost their manager as well. Sacked after just one win in 15 games. Obviously have had a big turnover in that side. Players have gone, but they have spent money as well. Diego Costa came on, and by the way, I thought looked pretty decent, to be honest. He scored a goal. Well, he got an assist for a goal that was given offside, but showed a bit of something. What'll happen with Wolves from now, I'm not 100% sure. So I am going to back Chelsea. I think Potter will get this team going. And against a Wolves side who haven't been great, I'm going to go Chelsea 2-0. Next up, we have got Man City taking on Southampton. So Man City are now the only team still to be undefeated in the Premier League this season, following their 6-3 win over Manchester United. Haaland gets another hat-trick. Foden gets a hat-trick. 2 hat-tricks in that game. I think Haaland has broke records for the amount of hat-tricks he's had and the amount of games he's played, and it's just crazy, to be honest. If Man City weren't already good enough, he has added so much to that side, and it's always high scoring. Taking on a Southampton team who lost against Everton 2-1 at the weekend. They did go ahead with a goal from Arabo, who I have to say I think looks really good, but they just didn't have enough to win it in the end, conceding twice to Everton, and that's now 3 losses in a row now in the Premier League. And I would predict that it's probably going to be a 4th, to be honest. Man City at home, I've backed them 3-0. Could it be more? Possibly. Could Southampton really go at them and get something? I don't rule it out. I just think Man City and Haaland have been so good, I've got to back them. The final 3 o'clock kickoff on Saturday is Newcastle taking on Brentford. So Newcastle picked up their 2nd win of the season at the weekend against Fulham. A great 4-1 win. A big part of that was Fulham getting a man sent off, but Newcastle needed to take advantage of it, and they scored pretty quickly after that with a goal from Callum Wilson, the number 9, who has been injured for a little while. Started the season really well, got injured, came back, and unfortunately that is kind of what you find with Callum Wilson. But when he plays, he tends to score. And as I say, got us off to a great start. Miggy got himself 2, one of which was an absolute screamer. Great goal from Miggy, and Longstaff made it 4. Fulham did grab themselves a goal at the end of the game. But great win for Newcastle. As I say, have been playing well this season, but haven't always picked up the points. Hopefully that is something we can add to this weekend against the Brentford side, who have been good this season as well. As I mentioned, a 0-0 draw against Bournemouth at the weekend. Ivan Toney was saving shots off the line at the weekend. He wasn't able to get a goal, but he was saving the other team from scoring goals, and he is an ex-Newcastle player as well. He actually mentioned Newcastle a little bit when he got called up for his international spell with England, so great to see him getting that recognition. He kind of said that, back then when he played for Newcastle, he maybe wasn't taking it as seriously as he should have, and he even said that he didn't blame the club for moving him on. But he's went away, he's done it the hard way, he's back in the Prem, and I've no doubt will want to try and show Newcastle what a player he has become. However, I have backed Newcastle. I've gone 1-0. I think it could be close. Brentford are a good side. They're playing good football. I'm just hoping Newcastle can take that confidence boost against Fulham, take it into St James's Park in front of the home fans, and add to it with the 3rd win of the season. Now then, on to the 5:30 game on Saturday. We have got Brighton taking on Spurs. So Brighton currently sat in 4th place in the Premier League. Have had a great start to the season under Graham Potter as manager. He's now gone. The new manager, De Zerbi, was in, and he had a tough game on his hands against Liverpool at the weekend, and they started so well, went 2-0 up. And you're thinking, could they take all 3 points here? Liverpool got back into it, and in the end, Trossard got his 3rd, got himself a hat-trick. got Brighton the point. I believe it's the first hat-trick Brighton have ever scored in the Premier League, but it just shows, how good they were at getting the ball in the back of the net. And, would they have taken a point before the game? You'd imagine so, but Liverpool haven't been that great, and we'll get onto them in a little bit. Taking on a Spurs side who lost for the first time this Premier League season, losing against Arsenal at the weekend. So they've now won 5, drawn 2, lost 1. They did get on the score sheet. Harry Kane scored himself a penalty down the middle, but it was not enough on the day. Conte came out afterwards and said that Spurs just weren't clicking in that final third, just couldn't seem to quite get that final pass off. And Arsenal took their chances. Partey's goal was top corner. Jesus, could you blame Lloris for kind of palming it out and Jesus clearing up? I don't know. And then Xhaka was the one to get the final goal. So Spurs have had a great season. As I say, first loss in the Premier League, taking on a Brighton side who, as I mentioned, have been very good. They did score 3, but they also conceded 3. They were unlucky with the thirds because it was an own goal, and had they lost because of that, would have been very, very harsh. So, in a way, it was good to see Trossard go and get that final goal to make it a draw. I've actually backed Spurs here. I've gone 2-1. I don't write Brighton off whatsoever, to be honest, because I think they're playing really good football. I just think the way Conte was talking after the game, they are going to really want to go out and make it right. And I think Spurs are more defensively solid than Liverpool. Liverpool are just kind of all over right now. Brighton were having a field day there. I don't think they'll get that against Spurs. So I think it could be close. But yeah, I'm backing the Spurs 2-1. On to the Sunday now at 2 o'clock. We've got Crystal Palace taking on Leeds. So I mentioned the Palace game against Chelsea earlier on. They started great. They got an early goal. They had a few chances. Had they have maybe finished another one and gone 2-0 up, they might have held it a bit longer, but Chelsea started to get into it. As I mentioned, Crystal Palace were probably feeling pretty hard done to by the fact that Thiago didn't get more than a yellow card. Whether you think that's right or think that's wrong, I think Vieira actually got himself a yellow card for complaining about that decision. And then, as I say, Conor Gallagher coming on, the player that was on loan, the player that they tried to buy this summer. I think put in around £30 million bid for him, couldn't get him. He comes on and scores the 90th minute winner. Is probably going to be tough to take. Taking on a Leeds side who normally, bring the goals one way or the other, but not at the weekend. A 0-0 draw for them at the weekend against Aston Villa. It didn't help that they got a man sent off, Sinistera, for 2 yellow cards. The Leeds fans, and coaches weren't happy about it. But when you watch it back, and it's just, why was he doing it, really? One of the yellow cards was for standing in front of the ball, not being 10 yards away, not getting away, then complaining to the ref about it. Just get on with the game. And I think at that point, maybe a 10-men, a draw was a decent result to take from it. Hopefully we'll see more goals in this game. I've backed Palace. I've gone 2-1. I think both of these teams could well be quite evenly matched in this game, and it's tough to potentially pick a winner. I would love to see goals. I've gone 2-1 Palace. Still at 2 o'clock on the Sunday, we have got West Ham taking on Fulham. So West Ham had not had the start to the season they wanted. At the weekend, they played a Wolves side who had also been very down on their luck. I mentioned earlier, that Wolves had 1 win in 15, and West Ham hadn't started well either. And the question was, who could really try and, as I say, kickstart their season after the international break? And West Ham have done that. They got a 2-0 win. Skamaka getting his first West Ham goal is no doubt going to help. I thought Bowen played really well, has had a bit of a quiet start to the season for him. And David Moyes said, that he didn't feel like they necessarily played way above how they had been playing. They were just putting the ball in the back of the net, and obviously that's what makes the difference. Taking on a Fulham side who have had a great start to the season. As I mentioned, lost 4-1 at the weekend, but generally have been very good. The fact that they got a man sent off after 10 minutes was, it wasn't game over. Newcastle had to put the work in, but by the time it got to half-time and they were 3-0, 4-0 down, it was game over. The big thing for them is Mitro was thought to be injured. They played him. He only lasted 30 minutes. Can he be back in time for this West Ham game? Because if he's not, I think that's going to really hurt them. West Ham are at home, and I've backed them. I've gone 2-0. I think, especially if Mitro is unavailable, that will really hurt Fulham. And I think now that West Ham have got that win, they're back at home in front of the home fans. Skamaka is going to be full of confidence after his goal. I think they'll try and add to, possibly a little winning run. On to the 4:30 kickoff on Sunday now. We have got Arsenal taking on Liverpool. So as I mentioned, Arsenal, great win at the weekend. 3-1 against Spurs and a great start of the season. Top of the league, 7 wins, 1 loss, and took their chances at the weekend. As I said, Jesus has been great, scoring goals for fun. Martinelli's looked great as well. Xhaka, how much has he turned his career around in the last few years, scoring the winner against Spurs as well. And I think they'll fancy their chances at home against the Liverpool side, who have not had a good start to the season. As I say, 2-0 down against Brighton early on in the game, and they did well to bring it back, but generally have just not been great. And you can see Klopp is not a happy man at the side of the pitch at the moment. 2 wins in the Premier League, 4 draws, 1 loss. And they came out to start the game and, don't get me wrong, Brighton were really good. Trossard played really well, deserved his hat-trick. But there was times where the ball was coming out. I think it was Trent Alexander-Arnold tried to head it. It went to no one. It was bouncing around the edge of the box, and Henderson was just sticking a leg out for it. And I'm thinking, and then the Trossard goal at the end, completely unmarked at the back stick. What's going on? What are the players doing? Is it the manager? Is it the players? I've no idea. But if they play like that, I'm backing Arsenal. It's a 3-1 win to Arsenal. I'm going there. Hopefully it's an exciting game. Hopefully there is goals. It's on the telly. How can Liverpool either turn it around or make a change? We don't know, but I'm going to back Arsenal there. On to the Sunday at 7 o'clock at night kickoff, which is a very strange time for a Sunday game, but it's Everton taking on Manchester United. So Everton did not have a good start to the season, but are definitely pulling things back now. They did go 1-0 down in their game against Southampton at the weekend, but got themselves 2 goals, won the game 2-1, and that's two wins in a row and 6 undefeated in a row in the Premier League, so 4 draws. But that's the thing, when it was 4 draws, it was, they need to add more to that. And now they've got 2 wins. 4 draws and 2 wins actually sounds pretty good. And as I say, Lampard appears to now be getting a tune out of this Everton side, taking on a Manchester United side who had won 4 Premier League games in a row until they got thumped against Man City 6-3 at the weekend. So they were able to get on the score sheet. Anthony scored a great goal, kind of edging it in the box to get the first. Then got a pen and scored that as well. So, they were able to get some goals, but really, I wouldn't say they were ever really in it. I thought Man City were the dominant team there. And it's a strange one because I feel like for what Ten Hag was getting praised for in those games when he dropped Maguire, he dropped Ronaldo, he was playing some of the younger guys and they were doing well, and Anthony came in and did well, and now that they're kind of lost, it's now gone 180, and everyone's questioning, well, why did he play him and why did he play him? So it's I think it can be quite hard to win, with that one sometimes. But I will agree that when you're losing 4-0 or you're losing by that many goals, to have Ronaldo on the bench and not even bring him on is a weird one in my eyes. I can understand why I would say it would be harsh to say, why the young left back and some of the guys that brought in the question of that. But I think you're probably right to question why Ronaldo hasn't come on at all in that game. And I've gone 1-1. I honestly don't know which Manchester United team is going to turn up. Because if they turn up and play the way they can and Ronaldo starts, he could score 3 or 4 for all I know. But if they don't, and Everton have been playing well, maybe they could grab something here. So I've gone for a draw. And to finish off on the Monday night at 8 o'clock, we have got Nottingham Forest taking on Aston Villa. So Nottingham Forest, another promoted side. I have to say, after the amount of money they spent in the summer, of the 3 promoted sides, they were the ones I would have probably have been backing to do the best. And at the moment, are doing the worst. As I mentioned earlier, I haven't seen what happened in the Nottingham Forest Leicester game, because for me that's on later tonight. If they've won, maybe they've finally managed to get these players working together. I think they've got a great manager there as well. It's now trying to click it all together. If they've lost, that is another, hurting their confidence even more, to be honest, and questioning what it is that they do to try and move on this season. Taking on an Aston Villa side who have also not had the greatest start. 2 wins, 2 draws, 4 losses, but have started picking themselves up a little bit. Undefeated in the last 3 Premier League games. They did get a 1-0 win before the international break, and then, as I mentioned, drew 0-0 against Leeds at the weekend. You know, after Leeds got the red card and Villa started to kind of take on the possession, maybe they would have hoped they could have maybe snuck a win against 10 men, but it wasn't to be. And in this one, it's hard because I've not seen the game later today. I've backed Forest 1-0. I don't think Villa have been great, and as much as I actually really like Watkins and Buendia and some of the attacking players, you know, Gerrard's had a bit of stick recently for some of the team lineup selections as well, so it'll be interesting to see what he goes with in this one. I've backed Forest. Let me know your thoughts on that one and all of the games this weekend down in the comments below. So yes, guys, those are all of my predictions up there for game week 10 this weekend. Be sure to let me know all of your predictions down in the comments below, and be sure to go and check out today's video sponsor, Skillshare. The link will be down in the description. Give it a click. You get a free trial. There's loads on there. If there's anything you want to learn about, Skillshare have got it. And as I say, you get a free trial, so give it a click. It helps the channel. And enjoy your weekend. Enjoy the football. Predictions down below. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you later.